What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Real Red Stock fan channel that represents the most authentic, genuine people. And this is your breaking news show. The topics tonight that we are going to discuss. Eric, 10 weeks left. How long has Ten Hag realistically got? I want to dive into that kind of debate and discussion. Squad management, injuries, absences, people coming back. I want to talk about what kind of effect they can have. There's a lot of news as well on outgoings and transfers and just the rumour mill as it usually is with United. And then something interactive towards the end if we've got enough time. We've got Chivet, Connor, and Sam. We're good? Thumbs up? Bad? Yeah. We're all good. That's the first. That's nice. Usually I have some medium ones and some down. So nice to see. Right, we're going to dive straight into it with Eric Ten Hag. It's obviously the title of the show and the thumbnail. I saw a tweet before, lads, from the Muppeters, good friend of the channel. And he was mentioning how he doesn't believe that anyone coming in like Ineos and anyone up above has an appetite to get rid of the manager, and Ineos are going to take the time before they do this. But then equally, you're seeing reports coming out about, Julen Lopetegui, who was obviously at Wolves, and that we appreciate him and all this kind of shit. And then rumours as well from Jan-Aage Fjorthoff, who's a journalist in Germany, saying that Eric Ten Hag could be the new manager of Borussia Dortmund as well. So the rumours have started, which, we've seen this with other managers before, not Ole, because no one wanted Ole, but when they're inevitably, it looks like they're about to get sacked, they start getting linked with other jobs and managers start getting linked. But Chivet, I'll just start with you. Where do we go with the manager at the minute and the complications involved? Because it just seems like it's at a dead end at the moment and something needs to change. But do you stick and be patient with that, or yeah?
I like the news that I'm hearing from you regarding the Muppeters. Like, I'd like for Ineos to not to rush into anything. You guys already know I'm not a big fan of the manager. I mean, I've lost faith in him, but it doesn't mean we should just sack him, and not have anything. So
yeah,
I've written the season off, and I'm prepared for Ineos to come in and take their time and not be in a rush and search for a new manager if possible. I think for me, that's where I stand on this whole thing. But long term, ideally, if he doesn't change, because the annoying thing is that he can change all this. He has the ability to do that. He has the technical ability to do it. But if he doesn't change it, then I wouldn't see any point sticking with him. I'd like to see Ineos do like a proper search for the next upcoming manager and get him.
Well, the names that are being linked, Connor, you've got Lopetegui. I mean, apparently Ineos are a massive fan of Graham Potter, and there's been a couple of other names mentioned like Zidane and Ancelotti. But is that even in your head at the moment with this campaign, given the way the results are going?
Well, we all know the results are very poor. We can't really go a whole season like playing the way we are, getting the result and then losing each time. It's just not sustainable, and that's why we're out of Europe. Really, it's that inconsistency with the teams that we have as well. Because obviously injuries is playing a big part, but obviously it's not it's not everything as well. Because we all know that the players are capable of pulling these results out anyway when we've got a full squad. So I feel like Ten Hag, deserves a bit of criticism due to like the way his, approach to games. He hasn't adapted. He obviously wants to play a certain way, but I feel like it's his job, despite the fact that we can't do that, to try and find a system or style of play to try and, edge out those results that we really need, until you can get those players, that you can find to play that system. We've been sacking managers in the past for like so long now. We've tried, different good managers like Mourinho and all that. It's just, if we keep going through this same cycle, I feel like the players that we have anyway, because we like to throw managers under the bus. So it's like, will they have like a bounce and then we'll just go back to the same thing? I think that will happen. Or we can criticise some of the signings that Ten Hag's made, because we've seen players like Mount and all that, he signed for a lot of money and he can't really get into the team. So, what can you do in that regard? But I feel like we should stick with Ten Hag for now, at least, because I'm just not really keen on swapping and changing all the time, because I just don't see United players like changing for anyone anyway.
Yeah, man. Can you say me, by the way, just before?
Yeah.
I heard the majority of that.
He disappeared for like 10 seconds.
It's Discord. By this point, you should all be used to it. It happens all the fucking pisses me off. But It is what it is. But yeah, I take the majority of your point. And when we reflect last season, Sam, got right the in-game management, even the summer transfer window at the time. When you look at it this season, what's been the most annoying thing with the manager for you?
It's been a couple of things. Like, I think you could criticise him for. I think pre-season was a mistake. I don't know how much of control he is of that, but I feel like we played far too many games and we were travelling about far too much. Like, we went to Norway and we're back to Scotland and we went to America coast to coast and then back to, like, it was a lot of games, man. Like, I didn't understand the logic. I don't know if that's a commercial decision by the board to earn more money. I'd assume so, but I'd like to think Ten Hag was like, no, I don't need that many games. Like, that's far too much. But
well, apparently, just on that, like, this is factual. I can't remember who it was, the lady who spoke about it. It's something to do with the international thing, but she mentioned that she ran it by Erik Ten Hag and he was fine with it. So,
well, that I don't agree with that because I think there was far too much there, and we're seeing. Like, we had a truncated season the season before with the World Cup and the amount of games. Like, we went to the further stretches of each competition, bar the Europa League, didn't we? Went to the very end of every single one. So truncated season plus World Cup, and then that stupid pre-season, which I was just like, this is already off to a bad start. And then the other thing is the stubbornness. Like, I understand a manager has to be arrogant and they have to be stubborn to an extent, because if you're not arrogant and you're not stubborn, you're not going to succeed. Like, if you just bend to every whim and every will, you're just not going to be a successful manager. We saw what happened to Ollie when he was trying to be the players' mates. It doesn't work, man. Like, it doesn't work. So I understand it to some extent, but there's some decisions that I'm like, continuously picking players who are underperforming. I don't get that. I really, really don't get that. Like, I would rather stick in a Pellistri, a Garnacho, a Kobe Mainoo, something like that. Just chuck them in. Are they going to do worse than Rashford? Are they going to do worse? Do you know what I mean? I understand.
You don't think there's a fine balance between protecting him and,
but, like,
overplaying him?
Give him an opportunity. Not overplay him. Don't play him but give him opportunities. Like this, when players are underperforming, the opportunity is the fringe players and the youth players get an opportunity to play. Like, that would be my argument to it. And then injuries as well. Injuries are when youth players normally get their starts. The reason Rashford's in the team is because of an injury to Anthony Martial in the Europa League. That's the reason he's now a first-team player. So this is how opportunities happen. So that annoys me. And then tactically, we saw last season, the first two games, he tried to play his system, got absolutely battered. He switched it up and we found a way to win. And I think it kind of fell off after the Carabao Cup final. We put in a lot of shit performances, but we managed to limp over the line. And then this season, he's tried to go back to that or some version of that. And again, it's not working because of the injuries we have. So many injuries. We don't have the players to play the system, but he's still trying to do it. And it's not working. And I feel like he has to make accommodations for that, why we don't have the players available. We don't have the selection to make this team happen. And then the third one would be the transfers. I think the only player that I rate that he brought in the summer is Højlund. I think he's the only one that I look at and go, there's something there. Onana, big question marks. Mason Mount, question marks. So it's tricky, man. It's really, really tricky. There's so many problems. I don't think it's just one single issue for me in terms of the manager specifically.
It's interesting in it, Trevor, because it feels like he's gone down more the physical route this season with him. You know, there's reports of like overtraining players. He brought in Mason Mount, who's obviously a hard-working player. You've got Scott McTominay, and you've got this kind of narrative now. And I was listening to someone over there, I can't remember who it was, but he was talking about how players like Ronaldinho and Dennis Bergkamp and Dimitar Berbatov and these kind of players wouldn't survive in today's game just due to the nature of how much demand is on these kind of things like pressing, and physicality. What's your take on that?
Well, like physicality, or like his emphasis on, like,
both, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind having a physical team, a team that has people, that has a style that has players running around and hunting in packs and setting traps, and I don't mind that at all. The issue with that is that you can't do that with the absence of any kind of proactive system in place. And the way we play is really reckless. There's no point having. You might as well just go and be a manager in the Championship or League One, because those are the physical. That's where it's more physical. What we need is a technical manager, and he can do it, but I don't know why he chooses not to.
What would be the reasons in your mind for him being stubborn? Like, what is there anything you could possibly think of as to why he keeps playing players like McTominay?
Yeah, so I think it's now, this is just me speculating by all means.
Of course.
Right? I'm just gonna disclaimer, right? I think it's one of those things where he's hell bent on a style of play, and it's one of those things where you've said to your players, this is what we're gonna do, and this is my way of doing things. And he may have been criticized, and it's almost as if he's trying to prove something to someone.
Yeah.
Right. This is how we're going to do it, and we can do it this way. And he's, perhaps falling out with some players. So, for example, with Varane, we heard there was a bit of he questioned his tactical approach, and then we only saw him against Bayern Munich. So it's almost as if he's told someone, or he's trying to prove something to someone, and it's clearly not working, and he doesn't want to go back on his word. Because if everyone else can see it, I don't understand how he doesn't see it. So, just to go back to your question in regards to physicality, like, I don't know why he plays Scott McTominay to be this. Have we lost Nick?
Yeah, just keep going.
Yeah, so we're playing Scott McTominay to be this offensive player, putting himself around the box. He's 6'2", 6'3", and while that might bring you goals, it leaves us empty behind. So I really don't understand it, and whilst I like, so for example, look at Liverpool, the way Liverpool play under Jurgen Klopp with lots of pressing, I like that. There's nothing wrong with that. We need more of that, more athleticism. No one has any problem with that. But then when you do that, or when you rely strictly on that, that is the issue here. And this is one of my problems with the manager. I don't see any. When he played at Ajax, we saw the triangles, we saw the build-ups, we saw, every player kind of had, knew what they were supposed to do. We just look like a bunch of 11 individuals on the pitch, and there's an over-reliance on individual brilliance. And that's not sustainable going forward.
And the weird thing is, how many times have we said before individual brilliance? We said the same thing under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, said the same thing under Mourinho at times as well. And I agreed on the first season, because it's like, right, you've had one window. You've not managed to get all the players that you want in, but now you've had a second window, and you brought in a ball-playing goalkeeper, and you're not playing out from the back, and you brought in Mason Mount, and he doesn't fit in the squad. So I'm like scratching my head and like, what vision do you have in your head that the rest of the fans can't see? I don't understand the concept, because I thought he brought in Mount for Eriksen's deficiencies, but obviously when he tried playing with Casemiro, Mount, Bruno, these two high-pressing eights, didn't work. It did not work at all, and you can see it from the very first game against Wolves. It was so clear, and then he stuck with that, and we lost, and he's continued to stick with that. And the only time was yesterday, where I watched. It was a shit performance, don't get me wrong, where I watched him, but where he was actually compact as a team, and they got behind the ball. First time in God knows how long, but it was still a shit performance. And obviously,
there were certain times, to be fair, yesterday there were certain times when Bayern had the ball, when they were building the ball. And I kind of liked the way some of the formation was, where you actually had McTominay and Højlund up front as two, and then you had the three behind
Bruno
them.
dropped deeper, didn't it?
Yeah. So you kind of, I could see that, and I was like, okay, this is kind of something that I can sort of build on. But then when you're moving forward, you need technical players. If you have physical players like Scott McTominay who can't build on from the back, this is where a player like Kobbie Mainoo would have been perfect, because he's great on the half turn. And he's one of those people that can drive past one or two players in the midfield, and then suddenly we're attacking. But McTominay gets the ball, he can't even turn, he always goes backwards.
Yeah, so, absolutely. We're going to dive into the comments, because there's loads of them in the chat. So keep getting your opinions, and I promise I will read them out. Just the last thing on the squad and injuries and absences, Connor. Obviously, Harry Maguire went down last night, who's, it's weird, feels weird me saying this, but he's probably been our most important player recently. Player of the month, been in fantastic form. And likewise with Luke Shaw as well. I mentioned before we came on the stream that Luke Shaw isn't as serious is not to believe, which is obviously good news. But given the injuries that we've got at the moment, and you look at the long list that we've had, like you said, it's bound to have an effect. But how much are we going to miss them two players specifically, do you think?
Well, I think them both will be big losses at the minute, because obviously Maguire has been putting the shift for us, while Varane has been out the team. So obviously we all know Varane is one of our better centre-backs to play, but we all know that relationship is kind of rocky. So Maguire has stepped up since losing the captaincy as well, which is surprisingly for us all, because obviously he's played shockingly for so long, and now he's actually putting performances to try and keep his place, and he is probably one of the first names on the team sheet right now. And then I think for Luke Shaw, he's always going to be the same, but it's like it would be better for Luke Shaw to be in that left back position, because I just don't think Reguilón is the answer going forward.
If you think about that game on the weekend, Conor, against Anfield, you could potentially have in it a back line of Reguilón, Johnny Evans, Lindelof, and Dalot at Anfield.
And that's like when you've got players like Mo Salah, Diaz, and even Jota and like Nunez, they're going to cause them problems.
Yeah,
it's just Reguilón. There's a reason why Tottenham don't start him, and that's because he's not good enough. And it's just going to be a difficult weekend as well, because obviously with Johnny Evans and probably Varane will probably play. If hopefully Lindelof will be back, but can we really?
I don't know if he might still be ill or injured. I don't know what's going on with him at the minute.
It's like we're expecting a big high result for Liverpool's end, aren't we? When we've basically got not our best players there.
Yeah, it's worrying times at the moment. Right, let's see what everyone's saying in the chat, because like I said, there's quite a lot of comments, so I can't get into them all, but I'll just read out the ones. NT's in the chat, big up to NT, saying, remember the days of waking up the day after a defeat and still feeling hopeful for the rest of the season. Yeah, it feels like
that's a good one.
It's been a while. It's been a while.
Yeah. Dino Lewis is in the chat as well. A regular saying, I'd defo give the younger kids a go. I would start Manu 80% of the time over Scott McTominay. I think most people would probably agree with that. Nacho has been playing Palistri, I think is about the Uruguayan coach, I'm guessing. Not been more effective than Antony. Manu's been protected and nurtured.
I beg to differ on Palistri being more effective than Antony. Beg to fucking differ.
Yeah, I don't think anyone on the right side's been effective.
No.
Do you know what the weird thing is, right? Højlund needs service, and the one player who we've seen at Dortmund do it with Erling Haaland was Jadon Sancho, who's obviously not getting a sniff at the minute. Like, you talk about service, he's that kind of winger that will provide service if needed, and he's obviously nowhere to be seen.
The options we have, Pelistri is actually the only one who actually plays for his striker.
He crosses the ball. He puts the ball into the box.
Yeah, he's looking to his players before anything else. Right?
Yeah.
So I don't. And I'm not like his biggest fan anyway. I'm just,
Yeah. Tim99, who is a Real Red Ultra member. If you want to become a member, click the link in the description or click the join button next to the notification bell. It's saying, my only criticism is leaving us short up front. Yeah, I mean, we definitely need another experienced striker in there, which we'll talk about shortly. But the wingers as well. You spend 85 million quid on a winger, you can't even put a cross into the box for your 70 million pound striker. It's questionable, isn't it? It's just questionable.
Well, that's another question you can ask Ten Hag as well, isn't it? For like spending that much money on Antony, when you probably know him the best as well by spending time with him at Ajax. So he should, Ten Hag should surely know that Antony would have had that problem before.
Yeah, to spend that amount of money, he must have high expectations, and he's definitely not got anywhere near that for the price tag. Jeff is saying, what I don't get is why players who you wanted out after the players you wanted were fit. This is a big worry and tells me he is not sure. That is from Jeff. And then the last one I'll read out. I don't want John Murta and gang to take any decisions. We'll wait for new management. God only knows when that'll be. To come and put a structure and then take Erik Ten Hag decision. I think we're probably the general consensus on that is we probably all agree. But let's see what happens in the next few weeks. Who knows? If we get battered 7-0 at Anfield again and then battered off Villa, the inevitable is probably going to happen, in my opinion. Right, Sam, bit of transfer talk for you. I know you love your rumours and stuff at United. Now, Man United are not planning on much transfer activity in terms of incomings or outgoings in the January window. That's according to James Ducker in the Telegraph. And we are facing a financial hit of about £28 million after their early Champions League exit. They budgeted to reach the quarterfinals and will not receive 19.5 million as they failed to make it to that stage, plus a further failure to make 8.2 million in home revenue. So are you optimistic, the question is, of any signings, first and foremost, in January? And then when you kind of look towards the summer, it's all up in the air, isn't it? Because you don't know who the manager's going to be. You don't even know if Ineos are going to be in by that point, the way things are going. So it just feel raw confused, like a lot of confusion, I suppose, is what I'm trying to say, heading into this.
Yeah, I think in January I would not expect anybody coming in, like unless it's like a Vegas Sabitzer type loan for them, like Region and stuff, like an emergency type loan position. But I don't see a transfer coming in. Like, we're going to be hard pressed to try and shift some of the players that we need to get out. Like, I know the Donny van de Beek situation is ongoing. Eintracht Frankfurt want him on loan, and we're willing to take 6 million for him, but they can't afford 6 million apparently. Which, yeah.
How many times have we heard that before?
I don't believe a fucking word of it, but there you go. Jadon Sancho.
If I was them, I'll say the same. Like, if I was them.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. Players, like, we're idiots. We're fucking idiots. Yeah, we do it all the time. Like, it's stupid. So that's you got Jadon Sancho question. Like, if we can get rid of him, who the fuck pays his wages? Because he's not going to leave without getting that kind of money, or at least getting the rest of his contract paid out. So what happens there? There's question marks over Varane, over Casemiro. There's rumours of them going to Saudi. I know the Muppeters guy said, James said they were the two that could possibly go in January, if not the summer. So that's like players there. So that's what you're losing 4 players there, and there's nobody on the horizon that you think is coming in. Like, the only one you've heard
James
a sniff
on soon. Actually, we'll get James on to ask him about this.
The only one we've heard a sniff of is Todibo, and that's gone really quiet recently. It's gone super quiet, so I don't see him coming in January. So
he wants to stay at Nice. I'm there in the Europa League.
Yeah, probably. So yeah, that's worrying. And then the financial hit, that's the one you got to pay attention to when it comes to the Glazers, because that's what they're worried about. That's what they give a shit about. It's money in their pockets and in their bank accounts. So that's what's going to be what will make them make a decision on things. If it costs them money, then they'll make a decision. Otherwise, they don't give a shit. And then, like you said, Ineos was supposed to be announced last week. It's supposed to be announced the week before. It's supposed to be before Christmas. Now it's not before Christmas. Now it's looking like January. But even when it does come in January, they've got to take 6 to 8 weeks to go through the proper ownership test, I think it's called. So that could leave us up to March before he actually has control.
It's literally a write-off.
January. Yeah, so January's essentially done. Like, you're not getting anybody. Yeah. So we might as well just accept this is the squad we have, and this is what the squad that is going forward. And like Chibi said, write the season off, because we ain't winning anything and we ain't finishing in Champions League places. So just accept that this is going to be a painful fucking season, and hopefully Ineos comes in, does their 100-day review, and there's some structure around with a football director, head of recruitment, blah blah blah, medical upgrades and all that sort of stuff, and we get structure around him, and in the summer we can go out and plan properly and do the right thing, rather than just spaffing cash all over the place and having no clue what we're doing. That's what you got to hope for, because other than that, what else have you got?
For any United fan who are confused about how to feel or what to do or whatever, just have what Sam's just said, put that on a record, and when you wake up in the morning, just press play, and you'll be fine. Chivette, when you look at this squad, because there's going to be talk about investment again, there's going to be talk about people outgoing and blah, blah, blah. Who in this current team right now is good enough for you? How many?
Including, like, if we're just looking at the squad, including injuries and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Quite a few, actually. Varane, Casemiro. I think all of them, in terms of, like, if we have a good system, we saw that last season. Like, quite a few of these guys were here last season, and we could have finished with 2 trophies And if it wasn't for the injuries, we would have been a lot closer to Arsenal than people think, than we finished. So I think on the right direction. We've got quite a few. What I can tell you is people who are not supposed to be here, who I don't think are good enough.
Go for it.
Yeah, McTominay. Even though he's Man United graduate, and I have a soft spot for him, but he's not good enough to be here. Maguire is
You've
not
got a
good
soft
enough.
spot.
Yeah, I kind of like him. Yeah, he's one of them ones where he's just good to have around the place, just to inspire people and put the cones out during training and all that kind of stuff.
Hey, that's Donny's job. That's Donny's job. He ain't taking Donny's job.
You need someone to talk about the old days when Fergie was here. There should always be a Scotsman in Man United. That kind
Back in my day, 6 goals in the season.
Send him upstairs with Darren Fletcher then, whatever the fuck he's doing. Go up there.
Just hang around and just be useful, but just stay away from the pitch. Maguire. I can't even think of anyone. Anthony, of course, definitely. I like Garnacho, but I don't see him as a starter for Man United at all. There's still a lot of development there, and I think we kind of, myself included, we kind of got carried away with some of his performances, but he should not be starting for Manchester United. I think that's. I can't. To be honest, I can't really think of all the players, but yeah, fair bit. I mean, we've seen that happen before already. These guys performed, and under the right management, why not? I don't think we're as far as people make us to sound. It's just when we start losing, and then all of a sudden, all the problems come forward, and everyone starts talking about the problems and the training pitch and this and that. No one was saying that when we were winning last season. So I really, honestly, truly don't think we're as far as people think we're. I think we just have to get right tactics for these players. And we did it with a half bit Christian Eriksen last season, and all these players ran their socks off to the end of the. We played how many games was it last season?
But don't forget the away games though, because that's a massive issue for me. That's a massive red flag. Like, I know we played well, finished third, won a trophy, but last season we lost 7-0 to Liverpool, 6-3 to Man City, like away to all these teams.
That's as well.
That's the Man City and Liverpool. That's to be expected.
7-0?
No, to lose away.
Oh,
not 7-0, but to lose away. Yes, that's to be expected. Those are the kind of games that you don't automatically count your 3 points. You're going to drop points when you go away. So I get it, but I get that. But it's something to build on. If you're looking at what we did the season before, it was definitely something that we could have built on. So I don't think we're as far away as people think. Once this manager sorts himself out, or if we get another manager and start playing well again, we'll see it that, we won't be that far off, to be honest.
Well, with this new sporting control, Connor, they're obviously going to want to add to the team and invest. Probably not as stupidly as Man United have done over the past few years. They're probably going to be a bit delicate with the scouting and things like that. But I appreciate there's a lot of kind of issues at United at the moment in terms of in positions. But for you, what are the glaring positions that you look at now and you think we need, a seasoned player in there? We need, a young maybe prospect in this bit. What stands out for you?
I think striker is probably one of the most important for us. And next week we are lacking that cutting edge up front. I think Højlund definitely is, going to be very good in the future and someone that we need to keep as much as we can. But I feel like, we've put a lot of pressure on him when he's had his injury problems as well so far. So, we've been crying out for that Harry Kane type of striker or like an Osimhen to try and come in to try and get those goals for us. So I think that's what we need to focus on. But I think we're going to struggle to try and get a good striker until possibly the summer if we actually did prioritise that. But
Connor, can I ask you something? Sorry to cut you off. If we had Harry Kane in this team right now, do you think would have been any better?
Nope.
With the service that the current strikers getting, with the service that the players are currently getting, possibly no. Obviously, it's all about the midfield, isn't it, as well? I think we probably need a better, younger CDM because I feel like Casemiro, he's decent, and I think he had that very good season last season. But injuries aside as well, it's that he's a bit of a hothead at the minute, which is a bit. I think was it at Madrid? He didn't really get as many red cards until he came to United.
Yeah, the thing is with the midfield, I agree with you. Like it's all connected into one. So that's the main point we make with the service to the striker. There isn't none, but Harry Kane in that regard kind of creates his own chances in a sense. I think like it's a lot of the time where at Tottenham he was still bagging 30 goals a season and they was a fucking terrible team. So I still think we'd be a bit better off with him in there. He'd probably have more goals in the Premier League at least. But yeah, I'd say, but it is a graveyard shift.
Well, it's like if he doesn't score, he also gets assists as well, doesn't he? Because he likes to drop deep into those positions, trying to get people more in. So it's kind of like, as we've seen that with Bayern as well. Like yesterday, he didn't score, but he played in Coman, who got the goal.
Yeah,
so
very
it's kind of like you kind of need those like players that are like aware of those positions to run into, to like be able to get those goals.
NT's in the chat saying centre forward, centre back, right back, DM, right wing.
Just the entire team then. The entire team, that's what he's saying.
But he's not wrong, to be honest. I'm looking at them positions. I'm like, yeah, you could probably bring in a Frimpong. You could probably bring in a Todibo.
Goalkeeper.
You could probably bring in a bit more of an experienced striker. Defensive midfielder, potentially. And then a right winger, because that right wing spot at the minute is just dead. Literally dead. So I don't disagree. Right, the last thing we're going to do, and we'll start with you, Sam, and we'll go in the order of Sam, Chivy, Connor. I want you to rate every manager we've had since Fergie's retired out of 10 and give me your reasoning why you have gone with that rating, okay?
Okay.
So, obviously, we're going to go chronologically in that order. David Moyes.
3.
Okay, what pissed you off about Moyes most?
I mean, the statement sums it up for me, is that he's in a press conference, he said, we have to get better at passing, shooting, scoring, defending, and in the midfield. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, what? Honest to God. It's one of Fergie's probably biggest mistakes, that. Handpicking him. Like that.
So, like, a fellow Scots,
Scotsman, he was out of his depth. Like, just club was too big. Was never gonna be the sort of saviour that we wanted. Like, it was never gonna happen. Like, just it was never gonna happen. So he won fuck all. So there you
go. He won the heart for Lena. That's the only thing he did win.
Yeah.
Chive?
Also turned down Tony Cruz, by the way. Just saying.
Yeah, I rate him like a 3 as well. And he just wasn't the one. I mean, the club was too big for him. And
yeah. Would you agree with that, Connor? 3 out of 10? Or
yeah. I think the problem with Moyes as well, he was trying to take over a lot of the roles, wasn't he? So like trying to do it by himself, and that was a big mistake in that. And then I think the transfer business is like the players we were linked with in that summer, and then we left it late to just get Fellaini, and then so it's just. And then the football, of course, is just it was a disaster, wasn't it? Really, so I'd say 3 as well. Yeah.
NT just made a great comment. Said telling Rio and Vidic to watch Everton defenders to see how he wants to defend. Remember that? Watch Jagielka. He'll show you how to defend.
What was it? We were linked with Fabregas, Cruz. Who else?
Bale. Thiago.
Sancho. Yeah. And we got Fellaini.
Yeah. Try getting Leighton Baines in as well. I think Leighton Baines and Fellaini. Crazy. Right, let's quickly shift through this. Louis van Gaal, Sam, out of 10.
I give him a 6 because he won us an FA Cup, and it's probably the last manager who had an identical playing style. It was fucking awful, and it was boring as hell. Like, I think it was Jay Motti, who's a friend of the channel, who's been on, and he said when at his end where he sat, he didn't see a goal for 8 months. When Van Gaal, 8 months, no goal. Like, that's
robotic positional
terrible football. But he had an identifier style, and he won us an FA Cup, so he's got to get points for winning the trophy. But he was never going to be the long-term solution. He was a short-term fix, and it didn't work out. Some of the players he got in, though, I thought I got excited by, and just none of them worked, did they? Like, none of them worked. So
some of the signings under him, Di Maria,
yeah.
Memphis Depay,
Falcao under him. Falcao.
Oh my god.
Like I was.
Yeah. Falcao, Schneiderlin, terrible. Chivette, would you give the same rating?
Yeah. I think a 6. Winning the trophy. I think even though he was really boring, I think he's the only manager that maybe a case can be made for to say, you know what, maybe we should have given him a little bit more time to improve it. But yeah, I'll give him a 6.
Connor.
I'm gonna go between a 5 or 6 because I feel like Van Gaal, he got us some crucial results against, the big, like obviously Man City, Liverpool, and whatnot. And then it's a shame because obviously the players that he brought in didn't work out. I thought Di Maria at the time was exciting when he burst onto the scene for us. And then when Di Maria's situation, went bad, it just dipped, didn't it, massively. And obviously Falcao was a bit of a disappointment too, because obviously what he did with his previous clubs as well. But yeah, he won a trophy for us. Obviously, our next manager, Jose, was already agreed before. I think, was it the final or after?
Yeah.
Right after the FA Cup final, I think.
So I think, maybe that's a bit harsh, but we had to do it. So the football was just atrocious to watch for a long period. So yeah.
And Van Gaal never lost to Liverpool.
Yeah.
We beat them home and away.
Is that Wanfield? Is that Wanfield?
Wanfield.
Yeah, 2 seasons in a row, home and away. We beat them.
Yeah. That's a feather in the cap, innit, I suppose.
Good
Right, on to the next one. You know who's next, don't you, Sam? I am Jose Mourinho.
Of the Ten Hag aside, he's probably the best manager we've had. I'd argue.
We'll get into that.
Yeah. I think won 2 trophies, I believe. I know Josie likes to say 3.
The treble, mate.
Yeah.
He won the treble. Get it right.
Charity Shield, yeah.
Respect. You know how many titles I won?
Yeah. I like.
3 more.
I really liked him. I would have loved for him to have been the first appointment after Fergie. I think that would have been the ideal situation to bring him in, because I think he was still at his pomp then. I think we got him as he was on his decline, because after United...
Where was he? Was he at Madrid in 2013?
Inter? Was it after Inter?
No. He left.
I thought it was... because he got sacked by Chelsea, didn't he?
Yeah.
What, for the...
The first time. The first time, didn't he? And then he came back for the second time, got sacked. And then did we pick him up?
Won a treble with Inter.
And then we got him.
And then I thought, was Madrid before all that?
Yeah, he went to Madrid after winning the treble.
Yeah, I thought so.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought so.
So we got him after Madrid then. So we got him. But yeah, won 2 trophies.
I
think
he won the Premier League, didn't he?
With
With United?
Chelsea.
I was going to say, not with United.
Yeah, with Chelsea did, yeah.
So his playing style is pragmatic and not the greatest, but got some results, and then it inevitably always ends in an absolute implosion when it comes to Mourinho, doesn't he? He always falls out with somebody and kicks off and chucks his toys out the pram.
He is box office, though, isn't he?
Oh yeah, he's fantastic. He's fantastic. But he'll last 2-3 years, and then he'll kick off, and it always happens. So I'd give him a 7. Yeah, 7. Solid thing. 2 trophies, and was still a pedigree manager. But then, obviously imploded towards the end.
Okay. Well, let me know in the chat if you agree with the lads, people of the Real Reds community. Chive, are you in agreement?
Yeah, I think I'll go 6.57, something like that. I can't give him anything more than 7, but yeah, pretty much what Sam said. He won us 2 trophies. There were some good times under Mourinho. Not gonna lie, but towards the end, it was just. It was
dark, wasn't it? It was so bad.
So toxic in the end.
Yeah.
And he's just a terrible manager. And for the players we had at the time, like, that was not what we needed. So the way it ended was kind of bad, but we had some good times under Mourinho. So yeah, it was good to feel arrogant again for a bit. But 6.57.
And of course, Connor, you had the rise of Alexis Sanchez as well under Jose Mourinho, didn't you?
Sanchez. Yeah, I'd go with a 7 as well. I think to win 2 trophies when he first came in was very good. And we all know Jose. He likes to stir the pot with anyone. That's why we loved him, really. And he got us some good results as well. And then obviously we finished second on the rim, didn't we? So probably one of our best seasons since Fergie as well. So.
I think his highest points total under Mourinho. Pretty sure it was like 83 points, I think, in comparison. I can't remember what Solskjaer's was, but I'm pretty sure it was higher. I'll double check that. So I think 7 out of 10 is an average there. Now, the man who came in, Ollie's at the wheel, give him that contract, give him whatever he wants and sign it. The man of the hour, Sam, Mr. Interim to permanent. What are you giving him?
If we based it just off the interim, he'd probably be the highest rated, wouldn't he? Because the interim period was fucking awesome. Like, I was loving that period, man. We were great, fucking flying.
There was one goal against, was it QPR? I don't know who it was. Like Lingard, Martial, Pogba, Rashford, all involved in it. And I was like, who was it?
Was it Cardiff?
Cardiff, yeah. 5-1. We were 5-0. And we scored that, and I was like, we are back. We are buzzing. Oh, my God.
He said football is easy when you've got good players. After the game.
Yeah.
I feel like he got the closest to the football that I watched under Fergie. He got the closest to it, like swashbuckling, all attack, counter style, using your wide forwards and wingers and stuff, and strikers scoring it. Like, he got the closest, I think, to that style. And I think had he won a trophy, he probably would have been above Jose for me. Had he won a trophy, but so many semi-final near close calls, and then that final against Gdansk was terrible. That was a winnable game, man. It was so winnable, such a winnable game. Like, we should have absolutely smashed them, and we just didn't show up at all. So he gets a 6 for me. But one of my favourite nights post Fergie was under Ollie. Was the PSG game with Rashford with the penalty, and did Lukaku score as well? Yeah.
Lukaku scored first.
Yeah.
Buffon fumbled it.
Yeah. One of my favourite nights post Fergie that will live in my head forever. And Ollie will be a legend forever at Manchester United for what he's done for the club. But yeah, he didn't quite. If he would have won a trophy, I probably would have put him higher, but I can't because he didn't.
Right. Going to speed it up slightly. 6 out of 10 for Ollie Chive.
Yeah, 6 out of 10. I'll be very quick. He's probably top 5 of my favourite Man United players. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as a manager. Like Sam said, I had some of the best periods of football after Fergie under Ole. I remember one time I was calling him the mayor of London because he went and won every game in London. Give him the keys to the city, like he's the mayor. And that was great. And but yeah, he wasn't good enough to be manager long term. He was good for the short term. We played some amazing football towards the end of that season where we went like a 10-11 game run, and it was Marcus, Martial, and Greenwood, and it was amazing. And so yeah, I'll give him a 6. If he won that trophy, it probably would have been higher. But of course, the way it ended, it was kind of terrible as well. So yeah,
sad, wasn't it? Sad how it ended.
That interview that got turned into a meme where he's like, I'm the great lad. Oh, I'm going to stop now because I'm going to cry. It's people saying it. That's so bad for him, man. Connor, quick if you can. Ollie.
Yeah, I think 6. I think as an interim, probably one of the best times to watch United, especially with how the players felt more expressive to express themselves and whatnot. I felt like Pogba, especially, was probably one of the best. That was one of the best times we saw Pogba actually in the United shirt under that interim spell. So, and it's a shame that we couldn't get over the line in the cup finals and semi-finals and whatnot. But yeah, like you say, Paris Saint-Germain was, because it felt like it was impossible to even do that, was amazing, to be fair.
Yeah. And right, we've got the last 2, so we don't need to spend long on this one. Interim manager Ralph Rangnick, Sam.
Yeah.
I think we should.
Should we on 1? Just a 1 out of 10?
Can I just say though, everything he fucking said is absolutely the truth.
Oh yeah.
Everything he said. So if he could stay just for the press conferences I'm fucking. I'll be here for that. Those press conferences were so good.
I loved it.
It was like cracked.
Even
I was just,
when he was coming in, right? Because obviously we got to a point with Ollie where it's like, what the fuck is this football? What is that? He don't know what he's talking about. The interviews were a bit mad. And I remember watching it on YouTube at the kind of conference that Ralph Rangnick did talking about football. And I was like, oh my God, this guy knows exactly what he's on about.
Yeah.
You know, everyone was Googling fucking Gegenpress and all this shit. It was like, let's go. We're going to cook, you know, the Godfather of Klopp, Godfather of Tuchel. Let's fucking go.
Lasted 45 minutes against Crystal Palace and then just went into the
Everyone bobbing out their ass.
Those interviews we're talking about, Nick, they might as well just put them on Pornhub, honestly.
So good.
It was. Should have had a warning with it, didn't there? Like audio.
Yeah.
Do you reckon the Glazers are at home going, what the fuck's he saying? What's he doing?
Yeah,
Get him out, for fuck's sake, man.
Crazy. He spoke so much sense. It was just, but
the football.
1 out of 10, lads.
Football, terrible. Terrible football.
Universal 1 out of 10. Yeah.
1 out of 10 for Ralph Rangnick. And lastly, your man who's still at the helm at the minute, Erik ten Hag. Sam?
He's probably on the same as... He's probably in between Ollie and Jose at the minute because he's won a trophy in his first season, finished second, which is what Jose did. But he hasn't won 2 trophies. So Jose probably gets the pipe just above him. But
0.5 would you give him then?
Yeah, for now. Obviously, like with the football that's going on at the minute, his stock is dropping quite quickly. If he can turn it around this season, then he probably stabilise there and we get the restructure and all that sort of stuff. But if he continues on the downward trend, his score might very well change. But at the minute, I'd go 6.5.
Should I ask you this after the Anfield game then? And then see what you think?
If it's after the Anfield game, don't ask me immediately after on the review because it will be 0.
Oh, no, yeah.
Give me a couple of days.
It'll be, I'm going to fucking murder him for playing McTominay again.
Yeah.
That's what it'll be.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that assessment, Mr. I don't know his second name. Ortega? Is his second name?
Olga.
Yeah, Mr. Olga.
If you look at it holistically, I think he's probably the best after Fergie. Aside from what he's doing now, I'll probably put him at a 7.5 because and the reason why is because I know he can actually be that manager that we want him to be, and he's good enough. And you can't, even with everything that's going on now, we can't overlook what he did last season in terms of the decisions he made on and off the pitch, the man management. That was A-class, and given the squad that we had, the way he dealt with everything, he definitely would get some points for that. So, and then he won us the trophy, and then it was realistic to think that United were back. You know, all the other times under Jose and the rest of them, it was kind of premature to think we were back. But under him, it was like that was the first time I felt like, we're actually back. But just based on what he's doing now, I would have given him an 8, but I'll give him a 7.5. I can't put him lower than anyone else post Fergie.
Okay, Connor, you get the final say on that then. Sam said 6.5, Chewy said 7.5. What are you giving him?
Yeah, I think I'd have to agree with Sam on this one. I think he edges obviously Ollie because he's won a trophy, so that's clear. We've seen glimpses of Ten Hag being ruthless with some players. He's not afraid to make those decisions, but it's just that stubbornness he's got with certain players that is causing a bit of an issue. So he just needs to, be ruthless more, and just like if he thinks like a player is just not cutting it, just drop him like completely and give someone else a chance. That's why I'm a bit disappointed that these people like Palestri and all that are not getting more minutes, because it's like there's certain positions that are wide open for anyone to grab.
Yeah, just lack of opportunity in it and stubbornness, like you rightfully said. So, judging by your list there that you all mentioned, Jose Mourinho is the best manager that we've had. Erik ten Hag is second to that. Louis van Gaal and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer are joint third. David Moyes is fourth, and Ralph Rangnick is fifth.
Let's put
All the rankings.
Right. What about Carrick? What about Carrick?
Yeah, Carrick's 10 out of 10, mate.
Let's
Two
put-
games that he managed.
Let's put Van Gaal above he's won a trophy. Let's rather than an equal.
But the good times under
I know,
Origo and the football
I know,
times.
but he didn't win a trophy though. So
okay, well that is the official ranking from yours truly on the panel. Thank you to everyone who's tuned in into the show and getting your opinions, and appreciate it. There's a lot more comments, but we are pushed for time. Please do leave a like on the video for us and subscribe to Real Reds Talk for more content. We've got the big game at Anfield coming up soon, so of course we'll have the review for that coming up shortly. And yeah, make sure you check us out on socials, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. We're absolutely everywhere, so drop us a follow if you don't already. And look out for guests appearing on the channel as well, like James from the Muppeteers. We'll try to get Jay on at some point. And I think we mentioned someone else as well. I can't remember who it was.
Casemiro?
Casemiro, did you say? Well, imagine. Can only imagine. But yeah, apart from that, have a lovely rest of the week, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care. See you in a bit.
Cheers, lads.